Hello student. So last time we have started with the diabetes mellitus. Now in the diabetes mellitus we have seen what is diabetes mellitus, then what are the reasons or causes diabetes mellitus in case of human being and also in case of animals. So then we have seen what are the clinical signs in case of animals and human being. Then one thing I forgot to tell you regarding the diabetes mellitus in case of dogs and cat. So in case of dogs and cat, one important thing is that in dogs, type 1 diabetes mellitus is very common. So and the causes of this type 1 diabetes mellitus in case of dog is because of the autoimmune disorders. Okay, while in case of cat, type 2 diabetes mellitus is very common, and the clinical signs or causes of the type 2 diabetes mellitus in case of cat is similar to that of the human being. So in that we have studied in detail about the clinical signs, the causes of diabetes mellitus. Then we have started with the diagnostic test for the determination of the blood sugar level. So for the determination of blood sugar level, we have enzymatic methods, isn't it? Like glucose oxidase peroxidase method. Then we have hexokinase method, and we have a glucose dehydrogenase method. So three important methods with which you can find out the levels of blood sugar, isn't it? In case of human beings and also in case of animals. These are the tests which are commonly used for the determination of blood sugar. Now for diagnosis of the diabetes mellitus, you can say the long-term monitoring of the blood sugar level. One more test which is important, that is HbA1c. So HbA1c is nothing but a glycated hemoglobin. So glycated hemoglobin, that means this chemical combination of the sugar in the blood with the globin, that is a protein, that's a amino acid residue of the protein of globin, of hemoglobin part. So this glycated hemoglobin, the glucose generally combines with this globin, that is of the hemoglobin, and it levels the percentage of the chemical combination of this. It depends on the level of the blood sugar level in the blood. That's why this test can be used to monitor the blood sugar level for the last preceding 3 to 4 months, isn't it? Because the lifespan of RBC is around 120 days. So lifespan of RBC in case of human beings and in case of dog is little similar, that is 120 days. Also the glucose concentration, normal glucose levels in case of dogs and human beings is also similar, that is 180 to 120 milligram, that is fasting blood sugar level in case of dog and human being. That's why this particular test can be used in a dog for the monitoring the blood sugar level, that is long-term monitoring of the blood sugar level in case of dog. Now second is a fructosamine concentration. Now the fructosamine concentration is also used in case of particular dog and also in case of human beings for monitoring the blood sugar level. This will reflect the average blood glucose over the preceding 2 weeks. So it will give the idea about the blood sugar level for last 2 weeks. Okay, and any change in the blood glucose can be detected in this fructosamine concentration by using the fructosamine assay very more quickly than with the HbA1c. So this is, and also the fructosamine assay can be done by the colorimetric method. So in HbA1c generally done by the electrophoresis method or chromatographic method, but in fructosamine assay it can be done with the colorimetric method, so any lab can do it and they are at their place. So this is a more important assay for determination of the long control of the diabetes or the sugar and control of the diabetes mellitus, that is HbA1c assay and the fructosamine assay. So these are the two important tests. Besides this, oral glucose tolerance test, or it is called as OGTT. This test is generally performed in case of human beings and also in case of dog. So in this test, some quantity of sugar it is given to the individual which are suspected for the diabetes mellitus, and then the blood sample is collected. So initially fasting blood sample is collected. So fasting blood sample is collected from the individual. Then in case of dog, 4 gram of you can say glucose is given, 4 gram per kg body weight. Per kg body weight is glucose is given orally or intravenously. And then blood sample is collected at every 30 minutes and half an hour, okay, till 3 hours. And then the analysis blood sample, for the blood sample, this blood sugar level is estimated and GTT curve is plotted. So this is the you can say a glucose tolerance test, isn't it, in glucose tolerance test or GTT we are saying. So this is very important test to find out what is the tolerance of glucose by the particular animal by after giving orally or intravenously. So in this how the curve it looks, isn't it? When you plot a curve, the normal curve I will plot here. So we have here time, and this is the blood sugar concentration. So time half hour, 1, 2, 3, isn't it? Every 3 up to 3 hours it is and here the concentration of sugar level you have to plot. So initial concentration, suppose 75, then 125, whatever it is, 150, and then 175, 200, isn't it? So generally what happen, this how you get a curve. Suppose in normal glucose tolerance test curve, suppose the normal sugar level it is around 75 to 80 somewhere. So fasting blood sugar level, and then after giving the glucose orally or intravenously, this will increase, isn't it? And it will goes, isn't it, about 150 or 140, isn't it, right, after 1 hour, and it will come down to its original, isn't it, 80 or 75 after. So this is normal glucose tolerance how you get, isn't it? So it will after 2 hours, isn't it, it will come down to its original fasting level. So this is called as a glucose tolerance curves. This is normal glucose tolerance, normal individual. So in case of diabetic individual, this particular curve where the suppose the normal cannot say normal, the blood sugar level, fasting blood sugar, it says is high. So suppose it is 150 and it will rise and it will go up to 200, 300, whatever it is, depend on the isn't it the severity of the diabetes, and then it will take long time to come down to its original level, isn't it? So this is called as a diabetic. So diabetic curve. Okay. And it is not coming to its normal level immediately. It will take long time, 3, 4, 5, 6 hours. So this is called as a glucose tolerant test and curve, and you can use this for the monitoring the blood sugar level and find out the what is the status of the diabetes mellitus, how it is can be controlled. So this is about the glucose tolerant test. Okay, now other tests which are related with the urine. Okay, so other urine test also will perform for the, as you know, we have studied the diabetic ketoacidosis. So in the ketoacidosis there is a increase in the ketone bodies in the blood and excretion of ketone bodies in the urine. So urine test in diabetes mellitus. So what we have to test in this? One is important, you have to you can go for the Benedict test. So this test is performed, is very sensitive test for the blood sugar, the urine sugar. So you can test with the Benedict's qualitative reagent can be used, and you can do it. The test, this routine test you are doing in the laboratory. Second test is a Rodra test for ketone bodies. So as we have seen that these ketone bodies, they are excreted and there is ketonuria, and these ketone bodies can be tested by using the Rodra's test, particularly acetone and acetoacetate. These are the most true ketone bodies, and these can be tested by the Rodra test. While for the beta hydroxy butyric acid, modified Rodra test for beta hydroxy butyric acid. Okay, so that we have seen the ketone bodies metabolism and how the ketone bodies are utilized, how they are excreted. So that these are the tests which are generally for the acetoacetate. There is one more important test for acetoacetate. So it is called a Gerhardt's test. So Gerhardt's test for acetoacetate. So this, just to remember, Gerhardt's test for acetoacetate. Okay, so these are the tests, biochemical tests, they are generally performed for the detection of sugar or estimation of sugar in the blood and also in the urine. Okay, besides this we can go for the microalbuminuria, that is a albumin concentration in the urine. Can be, this test can be performed. So estimation of to find out the albumin concentration in the urine, which are generally due to kidney affections, isn't it? You can say complications of diabetes mellitus, and the microalbuminuria can be done. So these are the, just remember the tests which are So coming to the next in this topic, which are related with carbohydrate metabolism, that is the diabetes mellitus, and other disorders, carbohydrate metabolic disorders in case of animals, isn't it? So we'll see the hyperinsulinism in dog. So hyperinsulinism in dogs. So hyperinsulinism is nothing but a persistent hyperglycemia. So persistent hyperglycemia, isn't it? So sorry, this is a persistent hypoglycemia, hyperinsulinism, and because of there is a persistent hypoglycemia. So this is condition is in dog generally. Now this is because of the excess secretion of insulin, and this excess secretion of insulin because of the tumor of beta cells of islets. Okay, so there is excessive secretion of insulin that results into, insulin is a hypoglycemic hormone, isn't it? So there is the glucose is utilized rapidly, and that results into hypoglycemia, and this excess of insulin is because of tumor, is called insulinoma. Insulinoma is a tumor of the beta cells of islets of Langerhans. Okay, so that because of this there is a excess secretion of insulin. Okay, so this particular condition is big. You notice after if there is a history of exercise, strenuous exercise or fasting. So if there is strenuous exercise, the dogs may show the severe hypoglycemia. The blood sugar level may goes less than 55 milligram %. Okay, so that and this clinical signs, in this case clinical signs in dogs particularly, there is a weakness, isn't it? Apathy, fainting, and convulsions, and last coma. So comatose condition. So these are the clinical signs in case of hyperinsulinism. So please remember, in this there is a this particular condition, it is in particular in dog, and that results, this is because of the tumor of the beta cells of islets of Langerhans, and particularly there is an increase in the insulin secretion, there is a hyperinsulinism, and that result into persistent hypoglycemia. Okay, so you have a serum insulin level, so you can measure the serum insulin level is a diagnostic important. So serum insulin level you have to measure. You can always, you will see that there is an increase in the level of serum insulin, hyperinsulin. So this is the condition in case of dog. It is a hyperinsulinism in dog. Now next we'll see other condition in case of pig, isn't it? So it is called as hyperglycemia in baby pig. Hyper sorry, it is not hyperglycemia, it is hypoglycemia in baby pig or piglet. So this condition, because of the hypoglycemia, that is a less blood sugar or lower blood sugar. So this particular condition occurs in the baby pig or piglets immediately or few days after their birth. So occur in first few days of life, and it occurs in first few days of life, isn't it? Second thing, it is in newborn pigs at birth the blood sugar level is always is around less than, generally less than. So at birth blood sugar in pigs is around is less than 110 milligram percent. It is less than 110 milligram percent. But and this, because of this, already there is a less blood sugar level in case of baby pig. If you don't feed the baby pigs, or if they fail to suckle, isn't it, shortly after the birth, what will happen? Their blood sugar level rapidly goes down, isn't it? So it drops rapidly and to the hypoglycemic level. So blood sugar level will come down, isn't it, less than 40 milligram percent, isn't it? So this is this may occurs first few days of this life after birth in baby pig. So the baby pigs are more susceptible to for this particular condition. So this, why this is happening, this is one because of if you don't suckle them, isn't it? If they fail to suckle, or if you don't feed them shortly after the birth, isn't it, because of any reason, suppose there is a your mother is not well, sick, or there is a mastitis, isn't it? So any disease of if they fails to suckle their young one, there is a rapid depletion of the liver glycogen in case of pig. So within 20 to 36 hours, there is rapid depletion of glycogen in case of pig, isn't it? So generally the glycogen which is stored in the liver, it is rapidly decline immediately, that is about 24 to 36 hours after birth. Okay, so one more important mechanism, or because of that there is hypoglycemia, or because there is no glycogen or glucose level comes down in case of baby pig, is because of the gluconeogenesis mechanism. Gluconeogenesis mechanism is poorly developed in baby pig. So enzymes which are required for the gluconeogenesis. So as you know, in case of normally also when there is a fasting, in case of monogastric animals or in human being, the glycogen is stored in the liver, it is depleted, isn't it, after 24 to 36 hours. And to compensate that, there is a gluconeogenesis mechanism that we have studied, isn't it? So gluconeogenesis take over this, and there is a increase in the glucose level. Glucose is synthesized by non-carbohydrate sources. But in case of pig, this mechanism in case of piglet is underdeveloped because the enzymes they are lacking in the baby pig. So because they cannot tolerate the starvation, isn't it? So and to develop this mechanism they require many days, that is after 10 or days this particular after birth this mechanism is developed. So in between this, immediately after birth, so if this baby pigs they are starved because of they are not properly suckled because of the if the sow or mother, if there is agalaxia, mastitis, any disease of this, then they will suffer from this condition, hypoglycemia. Okay, so this particular gluconeogenesis mechanism, in contrast to this baby pigs, it is well developed in case of lamb, foal, or any other newborn animal calf. So they can tolerate this. So this particular condition you can see in case of pig. Okay, so what are the clinical signs in these animals? So they become, there is a apathy. So clinical signs in case of baby pig, so you can apathy, they become weak, convulsions, and coma and death, isn't it? And death. So these are the clinical signs in case of pig. So the feeding of the pig immediately after birth is very important in the to prevent this particular condition. So this is about the hypoglycemia in baby pig. Okay, next we'll see the condition, we can say, in case of ruminants, isn't it? So that is the ketosis or pregnancy toxemia in ewes and ketosis in cow. So these are also related with the carbohydrate disorders, and you can say the pregnancy toxemia in ewes, or also known as ketosis in ewes. So this pregnancy toxemia is also related with you can say the glucose level. So in case of generally pregnancy, when this condition takes place when they are in the late pregnancy, in case of sheep or ewes, late pregnancy, and where the ewes were carrying triplets, isn't it? Carrying triplets. So in case of a sheep, as you know, the glucose what is turnover requirement is about 100 grams per day. 100 grams per day is a glucose requirement, and this glucose requirement, out of this 50% is for the maintenance of the fetus during pregnancy, 50% glucose. So if there is if number of fetuses they are more, they are triplets, such a condition it takes place in case of ewes, and there is a mortality is noticed. So in this, the low blood sugar, the sugar may goes below, so less than 10 to 30 milligram percent blood sugar. Okay, and this results into various clinical signs and then death. So there is a clinical signs, you see, the clinical signs include, you can say there is anorexia, incoordination, then weakness, Then blindness also. Blindness in and coma and death. So these are the where you can death within 2 to 10 days. And there is a low level of blood sugar that we have seen. Then there is increased level of free fatty acids or non-steroid fatty acids and increased level of ketone bodies. So these are the clinical signs and what are the biochemical changes in pregnancy toxemia in use. So this is because of this condition occurs during late pregnancy, and this is because of the low blood sugar level. It is hypoglycemia. Okay, so that is also particularly mortality in case of goat or sheep. It is noticed in this particular late pregnancy because of the low blood sugar level. And generally such a goat, if the plane of nutrition during the last term of pregnancy is very important. So in this, the treatment like a propylene glycol, which is the precursor for glucose, or corn syrup is recommended for the treatment. Okay, and you can check the blood sugar level and you can recommend treatment. Okay, so this is about the pregnancy toxemia. The next is a ketosis. Ketosis in case of cow or buffalo. So this already we have studied about the ketosis. So ketosis, that is ketone bodies, that ketonemia. And so this is called as hypoglycemia. Okay, so hypoglycemia is a related to blood sugar level, so it is included in this. So if you see in case of particular lactating cow, they suffer lactating cow immediately after parturition, isn't it? They suffer from this that is ketosis, hypoglycemia. So in case of diabetes mellitus, the ketosis, the hyperglycemia is noticed, or you can say hyperglycemia associated with the diabetes mellitus. While in case of cow or buffalo, the ketosis associated with the hypoglycemia, isn't it? Now here